Hello, welcome to Crafting a Revolution, the podcast. My name is Katie Freeman, and I'm one of your hosts. Every Wednesday and Friday, we bring you interviews with female and non-binary makers of all kinds from all over the world. Today's guest is my friend, Joanie Sprague, who is a self-described carpenter, woodworker, and handy person. I think she calls herself a handy person. Living in and working in California, running her own business, doing both jobs for clients as well as some TV work and as well as content creation. So I actually first met Joanie. We were at a Make 48 event together. That's where I got to meet her and hang out with her for a whole weekend. So I will definitely tell you that this episode is full of lots of giggles. Because I think that's both of us. We both like to laugh a lot. So, and we happen to almost be twins. Like our birthdays are a day apart, same year and everything. So that is totally fun. All right, before hopping into it with Joanie, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to the patrons over on Patreon. So thank you so much. Lee at Lee Runyon, Annette, 513 Woodworks, Katie Thompson, Women of Woodworking, Kevin, Lefty's Woodshop, Christy, Twisted Twine, Jeremy Speece, Sammy, Go Sammy Lee, Rachel, Moody Makes, Bonnie, toolmomstore.com, Laura, Oakley Soap Company, Brandy, Studio Obey, Lee, The Rainbow Carver, Ellen, Little Bear Furniture, and Ethan Carter Designs. Thank you all so very much for continuing to support the podcast, helping us to produce 2 episodes a week every week. Truly, your patronage means so very much. That's why it is very important to us that we thank you at the top of every episode. If you are enjoying the podcast and would also like to help support it, you certainly can head on over to patreon.com/crafting revolution. Check out, there's different tier levels, and any tier that you would sign up for gets your name added to the list that gets thanked at the top of the episode. All right, let's go ahead and head on into my chat with Joanie.
Okay.
Don't say no. All righty, if you're good, we can roll on into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, ma'am, I always ask, can I call you ma'am, or do you feel old? Like I feel old when people say ma'am.
Like, I mean, technically, is it ma'am for a married person?
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. But
so are you a perpetual miss?
I mean, I like Ms. when I like write things down. I'm always like, Ms. It's none of your business. It's Ms. You know, but no, I don't care. Whatever. You can call me Ding Dong for all I care.
Okay. Well, either way, any name that you go by, I ask my guests to introduce themselves. So would you do that for me?
Absolutely. So my name is Joanie Sprague, and I am living in Huntington Beach, California. I'm originally from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, which is like kind of north of Pittsburgh, about 30 miles. So I'm a carpenter, maker, construction handy person.
Construction handy person. Love it. And so it's not Sprague. I was like,
no, it's Sprague. I know. It literally is spelled Sprague, like yes. Phonetically, but it's Sprague. I know. And I've gotten every type of variation of that. I went to the DMV last week and they said Sprague. And I was like, what? Ragu? Spaghetti? What?
Oh, and the DMV in California is no joke. That is the one thing that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like, are you one of those adults that will, even when kids are not in the equation, will watch a kid's movie?
Yeah, I watched Luca on the plane.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, because I always know, like, the more you watch kids' movies, you realize how much they are for adults too.
Yes. 100%.
And you pick up on the stuff that kids wouldn't pick up on, and like the jokes and stuff. Yeah, they're good.
So have you seen Zootopia? with the fox and the rabbit and the whole.
yes, that's the one where like there's a sloth at the DMV.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the exact scene. Like, I, we weren't living in California anymore, but when we watched that movie, and I like seriously, I think I peed my pants, like laughing so hard at that because I'm like, legit, that's the
Yeah,
DMV, California.
it's true. Yeah, they're not nice there. I went there one
No.
time and I we had to bring like two forms of mail and
Hmm.
one form of this and that, and it has to be all the specific has to be insurance or some
Hmm.
sort of bill. So I grab it. I saw Nationwide. I saw Joanie Sprague on the envelope. I grabbed that. I grabbed this other thing and I go there and she sees my ID. It says Joan. And she sees my mail that says Joni.
Oh.
She goes, "This isn't the same name." I was like, what the heck? You call Mike and Michael different things? I'm like, this is me.
Right.
And I was like, please don't turn me away. Please don't turn me away. I felt like I was begging.
I know.
But they were just so, they just want something to be like sassy about.
Exactly. Exactly.
I feel bad.
All right. So I'm the one who digressed us, but I
Yes.
had to talk about the DMV. But I want to know the story of Joni from like baby Joni to
Aw.
like how did you get into carpentry, handy person, woodworking stuff?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm from Pennsylvania and I grew up in a, not necessarily rural, but the the rural world was like right there. It was like on the edge of like country and like small city, I
Mhm.
guess you could say, not big city, but I don't know, maybe kind of like suburbia. Pennsylvania is weird. It's like I don't know. It's kind of probably like Iowa where there's it seems like a big city, but it's really not.
Right.
And then like the cornfields like right there.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. So I grew up around like, a little bit of everything as far as being able to play in the woods all day and come home when the streetlights came on type situation and build my own tree houses and play with whatever I had. I mean, we were super poor, so whatever we could find to play with. I remember one time we dug into the hillside and there's lots of clay in the earth in Pennsylvania, and we
Mhm.
dug into the hillside and we built this fort. And my mom would come out and hang blankets from the trees and like whatever we could do.
Right.
So I always really enjoyed creating, building, thinking of ways to make things happen and very hands-on type person. So my dad, before he became a minister, he was a glazer. So he did like glass
Oh.
installation for
Mhm.
many, many years. And so he's super handy. He can pretty much build anything. And he's also a big car guy too. So I learned a lot from him as well. My mom's worked in the steel industry. So she was a steel mill crane operator, and also a car buff too. So I learned she's a very strong woman. So I
Yeah.
learned a lot from her too. So growing up, total nerd, like I don't know, just band geek. I don't know. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything cool. I had like three friends. Um, and yeah, and then we moved to Ohio when I was Ohio in '98. I think I was like a junior in high school, and I finished high school out there. Went to a little bit of college and moved back to PA and started modeling. I dropped out of college actually, and I didn't like college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Honestly, it's like someone had a gun to my head. They're like, "Pick a major, bitch,"
Yes.
and I'm like, "I don't know what to do." So I'm like Japanese education, marketing. I computer science. I did all of those things within like 3 years, and I'm like, well, none of this is gonna work. This is not for me. But I dropped out, went into modeling, just kind of rode that wave for a while. I was on America's Next Top Model, which was a really great platform and kickoff for my wanting to be on TV type world
Mhm.
career that I did for a while. And after the dust settled and I kind of had some fun in life and did my thing and all my traveling, I kind of was like, okay, I know I can't do this forever. What am I going to do? I don't have a degree. I'm I am not going back to college and doing this all over again. I'm 28 years old or 26 or I don't know how old I was, but I was like, okay, let's figure something out. So I started doing personal organizing.
Mm.
like cleaning for people and doing
Mhm.
their closets and stuff like that. And then what that turned into was, well, I really want to store things in the attic, but there's no floor up there. It's just joists. And I'm like, well, we could put some plywood up there. And it turned into me figuring out problems with their closets and building in shelves or and
Mhm.
really simple stuff too. And it probably wasn't always the best, but it was a way to begin. And then that developed into me auditioning for a TV show that was on the DIY network. And with but very little knowledge I had, somehow by the grace of God, I got that job. But what was awesome about that and what was like, it clicked for me was they threw me in with this construction crew and they were like, let's do this. You're climbing under this crawl space. You're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing that. It's 40 degrees outside. It's raining. You're going to be working with us. And I just felt like, I'm up for this. I love this. This is great. I'm learning so much. And I worked with some amazing cabinet makers and carpenters and construction gurus, really, truly. For 4 years, I did that and I fell in love with it and I learned so much. And then from there, I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to go back to an office job. I've done that. It wasn't for me. Office jobs are great. I'm not dumping on them, but it just wasn't for me. So from there, I started like doing my own little handyman, custom closet type business.
Mhm.
And then from there, the TV career kind of like went hand in hand with that for many years. So I did a TV show and I would still do handyman stuff, TV show, handyman stuff. And then the woodworking was kind of the newer thing. That's probably in the last 6 years. I thought, I really like working by myself and I obviously can't do all this heavy lifting like these guys
Mhm.
can do and all this kind of stuff. I can still do some construction, but I like making all these little pieces of furniture and little things and blah, blah, blah. So then I started getting into it that way and just, started learning as I went, really,
Mhm.
truly. I mean, I didn't take any carpentry classes or anything like that, but a lot of it just made sense. My brain works that way with woodworking. And I've had a couple great mentors along the way too that have taught me tons of stuff, just great techniques or, whatever. And um, YouTube's a great resource.
Yes. Yes,
you
it
know,
is.
but that's about it. I mean, I just kind of realized that I couldn't go back to an office and I wanted to work for myself. So this really fits me well.
So now here's like the question I got to know. I have to learn or understand like are you still like right now doing client work?
Client work like
Like
construction.
construction or
Mhm.
woodworking. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's all word of mouth. So I drive around. My everyday driver is a 78 Ford. And on the
Okay.
side of my doors, I have big magnets that say, little bit workshop, carpentry and handy, ma'am.
Hmm.
And I get a lot of word of mouth work here locally in my neighborhood. It'll keep me pretty busy. Like on Monday, I'm putting in a countertop, butcher block countertop for someone and a sink in their little motor home
Hmm.
down the way. And I did some closets just recently. I do tons of orders for Christmas, but yeah, but I also now am becoming more and more of a content creator,
Hmm.
which you couldn't have told me 10 years ago. You're going to be making videos on the internet making money. I'd be like, that's ridiculous. But that's become a thing too, which I'm like, hey, whatever, however you can make the money and pay the bills, let's do it.
Hmm.
So I do that too.
Are you doing content on all of the platforms or is there?
Oh my God. If there was a magic pill I could swallow and that would just make YouTube channels happen, I would do
Yeah.
a YouTube channel, but I literally don't know how people freaking do it. Like
Mm-mm.
I don't have the energy.
Yeah.
I can do my Instagram all day long and Instagram automatically posts to Facebook and
Right.
Twitter. Oh, great. I have to do none of that. Right.
Right.
But people are like, you don't post on TikTok? I'm like, what? TikTok? I'm like, no, what the hell is TikTok? Oh, you don't do a YouTube channel? I'm like, girl, I ain't got the time to do a YouTube video. If a client hired me to do her closets and she's paying me her money, I'm not going to
Right.
stop and set up a camera.
Right.
I'm not at the point yet as a content creator where I have the time and the money to just pop off all day. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And just
Yep.
fart around and make a bunch of videos just because like I have unlimited amounts of cash
Yes.
just sitting around. Now, if I could get to that point one day, that'd be awesome. But
Yeah.
it's just
Yes.
hard. It's hard to create content when you're actually working on someone else's dime.
Yes. Yes. Well, even working on your own dime, like, I mean, it makes everything take way longer.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Way
I did my first like Home Depot partnership, and I was like,
nice.
ooh, get them Home Depot dollars.
Mhm.
And it, what I had contracted with them, so I did like stuff for Instagram, and really I made like just one short and kind of shared it on Instagram and
Mhm.
that. But they wanted also long form YouTube, and I'm like, oh my god,
I
I haven't done
know.
a long form YouTube in a long time. Like, I have my channel, but really what goes out most regularly on it is the podcast these days. So
Mhm.
I haven't really done a lot of projects. But this was like a super simple project that I did. And it took me an entire day. And I'm like, why?
No.
Oh, because I can only like nail in two nails, and then I have to move camera
The
angles and
camera.
do
Yes. Ugh.
and I'm filming on like my DSLR and my phone so that I
Oh
can get
no.
like, the whole thing. And I'm like,
It's
oh
so much
yeah, that's
work.
why I don't do this.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, like people be like, there's so much untapped money in
Right.
YouTube. I'm like, okay, but like just rolling that first ball down the hill, I'm like, I can't even get to that point. And
Right.
my friend's like, just save all your Instagram stories to your phone and then
Mhm.
string them together and make videos and start just put, I'm like, "Huh?
I mean, now that YouTube has YouTube Shorts, like, yeah, that's totally like
Oh, YouTube
doable.
Shorts? What's
Yeah.
that?
It's basically like Instagram Reels. I mean, it's
No
essentially,
way.
yeah. So you
Oh,
can use the
yeah.
same thing you did for Instagram. That's what I do. If something starts performing well on Instagram Reels, I'm like, oh, that one's one to go up on YouTube Short, and I basically,
Oh,
like, I pick the same song. I pick everything the same and
okay.
just post it up there. And you'll get some that do well and some that don't, but
Huh.
it's another avenue of like trying to push. It's not my main focus by any
Mhm.
means, because like you, it's like, if I want to wait until I can do it well. And by doing well, I mean like I have somebody to film and edit for me, and it's
Mhm.
not me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's crazy too. I've got a couple friends around here who are excellent. They're like, that's what they do for work
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
video work. I'm like, hey, how much would you charge me to like just come film this video and just give me the footage? I can edit it. Like, she's like, well, my rate is like 1,500 a day. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, I can't even afford to do that. I'm
No.
like, how do these content creators? I mean, they just must be making stupid money.
Yeah. So when you're saying you're, creating content, you're mainly on Instagram.
Yes.
And is the money the brand sponsorships you're working with? I mean, I know you have like
Yes.
Carhartt and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Carhartt. I work with um Type Bond. I've done Home Depot. I've done stuff for Metabo HPT
Mhm.
and Bessie Clamps and just a bunch of different brands. I've just reached out over the years just
Mhm.
for, posts or
Yep.
can you make a six or Power Pro hardware is another one, just doing like little 60-second videos for them. And what I'll do is, and those are easy because I'll
Yeah.
just, oh, I mean, to make a 60-second video is so easy. I
Mhm.
can do that.
Yeah.
I feel like an old lady. I can do that. And I just kind of clip them together and put music under them and boom.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the extent of my video making.
So far, anyways. Yeah.
So far, anyway. I haven't pulled the trigger yet on buying a real camera,
Yeah.
which I want to, but I'm like, ugh, if I go out and spend $600 or I don't even know how much they cost
Right.
on a camera, and then I'm like, I don't know. Someone's like, get the iPhone 13. It's just as nice. I'm like, is it though? I don't know. You know who's really awesome and I love their videos? This is how beautiful they look is it Bowcraft? Hold on, let me it's Bow Design or I might be saying his last name wrong.
Like BA.
Bowloy Design Craft.
Yeah, I think I follow
Bowloy.
him.
He's
Yeah.
got the most beautiful videos. And I'm like, I just want to message him. I know he's gonna be like, I've got a Canon Mark II.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yes, the $6,000 camera that I can't afford.
Yes. Well, I didn't have a DSLR, and I've been on YouTube for almost 5 years now, but I didn't have a DSLR. I was using my like Sony Handycam that we had bought
Oh.
to like record, the birth of my son, my oldest. Like I was like, I'm commandeering this for the business. And it was still like that was still better than my phone. But then I bought Shar from the Wooden Maven. I bought her used DSLR. She gave me a good deal because we're buds. So
Nice.
um, and it's like it's an older version, but it's amazing. Like I filmed the Home Depot video on it, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what have
Oh,
I been
wow.
missing out on?
Really? It's that
Yes,
good?
yes,
Dang it.
and it allows me like usually for product photos, I have my neighbor down the street who's like a world renowned photographer. Like he does all of my product photos for cheap because he likes me. But this allows me to like not always bug him for just like a onesie twosie too. Like, now that I've studied his kind of like I like his style, I'm like, okay. So I know some places of like where do I stand with the camera? What angle should I be trying to get? Like all
Mm,
of that kind of stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
And do you know Call Me Maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
His
Justin.
I mean, obviously he's a professional, photographer and everything,
Yeah.
but like just how he gets those like aperture,
Yeah.
like
Yep. Yep.
blurry shots. I'm like,
Yep.
oh dang it, I want that. I want to do that. It's so cool.
I know that's what I've been playing with the DSLR, and I did at least a decent enough job that with the
Mhm.
recent, like I posted some tray photos on Instagram, and even my wife was like, "Did you have Greedy come down and take pics?" And I was like, "No, I took those." She's like, oh, "What?" Like
Oh,
it's like I got
nice.
some skills. I can figure this out.
Nice. Epic. Very nice.
Yes. So, I mean, do you see yourself leaning in more on the content creation as you continue to go forward? Like, do you feel like that's a path, or do you always want to be kind of like
Hmm.
working with the client and, you know, doing that kind of stuff?
Good question. It's kind of an odd like time to be alive, honestly, because electronically we're so attached to these devices. It's like if you don't have YouTube or Instagram, like, or have a profile, you're so
Right.
detached from the world, so you feel this pressure, number one, to be on there. And like my husband, he's like, oh well, I have an Instagram, but I don't go on there. I'm like,
Right.
I am so jealous of
Yeah.
you. So it's almost like this like necessity, like
Yeah.
that you have to do it. So I'm kind of just gonna follow where things lead, I guess, but I don't want to be losing myself in the process. So I took a break over the last kind of month and a half where I was posting so much. I'm like, gotta grow my numbers, gotta grow this account,
Right.
gotta get these followers and all this stuff, and I want to go viral. And I'm like, and now I'm like, nothing's happened. The growth never happened. I did all the things I thought I was supposed to
Mhm.
do right with posting 3 times a day and doing reels and stories and all this
Right.
other crap. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I am depressed. It's making me judge myself against
Mhm.
others. I'm
Yep.
jealous of this creator. I'm jealous of this maker. And why do they have so many followers? I'm doing the same exact thing they're doing. And it was literally bad for my mental health, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like trying to draw that line and being like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to make money and do my job. Or
Yep.
do I let it go because I need to be happy as a person?
Yep.
I get FOMO, I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be like, oh well, I could be on there doing stuff. But that's like my ego talking, being like,
Yep.
you need to get more followers.
Yeah.
but look how many people liked it. Look
Yeah.
at all that, look at that crack. Smoke that crack. Get that Instagram crack. 'Cause it is. It's like drugs. You're just
Yeah.
like, ooh, I need some pumping up to my ego.
Mm-hmm.
And for so long, I was a very much a yogi type, Deepak Chopra type person for a long time. I'm like, your ego is not your amigo. Let that go, and you're gonna just be like living in the moment and present. And then Instagram came along and it ruined that whole thing. And so I don't know, man. I mean, I really want to. I want to keep working and making money and stuff, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to like lose myself. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to start judging myself. It's hard to stay strong. I think we need people to talk to. We need to speak to each other. You know what I mean? Like check in with someone and being like, hey man, you know, are you taking a break? Have you taken a break from social media this week? Or instead of like, are you on Spotify this week?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, I totally get it. Like, yeah, that's usually my cue too, to like walk away, is like when I start getting that tinge of like jealousy of another maker like landing some sweet deal, and I'm like, WTF, like I'm working my ass off and I'm not getting that stuff. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to it's time to put the phone down and walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the reality is it's like that person's usually my friend, and I'm actually really happy for them that they got, that they made that deal. And so you have to take the time to like walk away. And to your point, like, yeah, there are a few makers that it's like we've gotten close enough as friends that's like we text, or you know what I mean, like we can hop on a call or something like that, so that it's like it's remembering there's real humans on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I agree. And I have definitely made some good friends, and COVID really, strangely enough, brought us all together. Right?
Yeah.
But it's been nice, it's been nice, like, getting to hang. I mean, I only met Shar 2 years ago for a day or two at WorkbenchCon, but then we became friends through Instagram.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I met you through Instagram. I met Brandy Obey through Instagram. Jordan Gets Growler Domestics through Instagram, and people I've never even met in person yet. Right. Some of them I just started meeting in person, like Ethan Abramson and stuff like that. But I'm like, dang it! I feel like when you see him in person, you just want to be like, "Can I touch your face?"
Yes.
Are you a real person? But it's so nice. I love the maker community. Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't want to let it go because I'm having so much fun, but I just have to find that balance.
Yeah. Awesome. And I mean, I've seen you in action around like camera crews because I got to see you at Make 48, but you seem like super comfortable like that. Like,
yeah. I love it. There's something about like, and that's the thing, the money isn't that great. I mean, you can make just as much money in a normal job if you did a TV show, and also too, when you shoot a TV show, sometimes it'll be done in 6 weeks. Sometimes it takes 3-4 months to shoot a TV show. It just depends how many episodes are ordered. But you have to think about all of the things you're giving up when you do TV. You can't have your normal job anymore. You're leaving your husband and your wives and your kids and your pets behind if you have to travel. It's a lot of, sacrifice.
Yeah.
So you could make $700 a day. You can make $1,500 a day.
Right.
You can make more than that. But also you got to start at the bottom. So if you've never done a show before, you're going to be working for pennies, and it might not seem worth it to do it at all. You might just say, I don't know, keep doing my normal job,
Right.
But what's fun about it is like, I was also a theater kid. So I love hanging out with people and getting really close and making this wonderful thing happen. And being like traveling and sticking with this little pod of people. And just, I love that. Cause like I don't know if you've ever done a theater show before, but you just become so close with your castmates that when the show is over, you have made lifelong friends. You keep in touch, and you all have very like minds too. So that's always really fun to nerd out and be like, okay, oh, okay, we need room tone. Okay, we're gonna do an OTF. All these things, it's just you just get all excited to do it. It's fun to create TV. But it's a lot of work, and it's not necessarily like the most lucrative thing, but
Yeah.
if you enjoy it, then that's good.
Yeah, I would say I'm glad you brought up the whole like the travel and the like you're not doing your day job and all of that stuff, because the reality is like that's what's like kept me from pursuing some opportunities is like, it gets brought up. I'm like, kind of like, oh, that could be cool. But, I get all the details and then it's like, okay, now you got to talk with my wife and be like,
Yep.
how do you feel about me being gone for 3 months and you being a single
Exactly.
parent? And she's like, fuck no.
Yeah. It's no joke. Yeah. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of like I've seen people, I've known cameramen who've gotten divorced because they're gone all the time. People just, there's a lot of infidelity. I know I could write a book of all the crazy stuff I've seen. It's I don't know. People, it's hard to be away from home, but some people are used to that kind of life and some people aren't. And some people are definitely not cut out for it. It's a lot of stress too. You got to get up, you got to be on set at 6, 7 a.m. But now you're on East Coast time. So you're like, oh, I'm all messed up in my head. And then, then you work until 10, 11, 12. And sometimes like for me as a carpenter, when I did Trading Spaces, they would shoot the camera. There would be 2 crews, but they're not, sometimes they're both with Paige Davis and they're not with me at all. And I can't work. We got to finish this room in 3 days. So I can't do anything. They might put up a little GoPro in the tent and then I can maybe do a little work as I go, but they need to be there watching me do the work so they have the footage.
Right.
So I sit on my butt all day long until the cameras are ready for me. And then I've got nice little chunks of work that I can do. And then I can do the rest of the work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's really stressful sometimes too. Weird.
How did you learn like you just said, like to plan some of that out, like plan the chunks out and stuff?
Well, on most of the shows that we do, we know ahead of time what the projects are going to be. We always have like calls and we go over PDFs and say, okay, we're going to need a platform bed. We really want to build a cabinet and we want like a desk. And I'll be like, okay, well, the bed's easy. I can do that in an hour and a half or something like that. If you just let me work and you want to see a couple little things, but like the desk is going to be a little bit more involved. Okay. Maybe I need like all 3 days for that and just plan it out and spread it out. But I guess it just comes with it, the time. Also too, if you have good producers on this show that have done shows like this in the past, then they can they have a great timeline that you go by. But a lot of time, like the last show I did, they had never done unscripted renovation show before. I was like, if you want to see this go up, you need to film this now because this has to go in before this can go in.
Right.
They're like, oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, don't get, like I said, it is very fun to do. If you can do a show and you get the chance to do a show, you should do one. It's fun.
Right. Yeah. Is that what brought you to California?
I moved here when I was 25. I had just done America's Next Top Model and I was modeling full time. That was my job. So I moved to California. Tyra Banks called me. I was living in Washington, D.C. with my boyfriend. And I was like, she's like, Joanie, there's an agency in California and they really want you to come out. And I was like, bye, boyfriend, bye. I don't mean to be rude, but I did. I was like, I'm out. I'm like, LA, yes. So I had modeled in New York before and I modeled in Pittsburgh and Chicago and all East Coast stuff. And I'm like, West Coast? I'm like, yes. So I moved out there. I actually stayed with some friends that were worked in the crew on Top Model. I hopped couches. I didn't have a car. This was also 2006, so it was really different back then. This was
Yes.
like flip phone era. This was
Yes.
what, this
Yes.
is, no one has internet on their phone.
Right.
There's no iPads, nothing like that. So
No
I
Airbnb going on.
no, I crashed couches. I did what I did what I had to do. I like worked as a bar back at this bar in Hollywood until I bought this car off of a DJ that was booted. I had to raise $700 to get the boot off, and then he gave it to me for like $600 more or something like that. I mean, I literally beat the pavement here in LA and modeled like crazy, and then like I said, when I turned like 28, I was like, I really can't do this anymore, because I remember I was traveling and I was in a runway show, and the girl behind me was like 5'11", 6 foot tall, beautiful woman, and she's speaking Portuguese, and she's just so gorgeous. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, so beautiful. And the one girl was like, oh yeah, she's 14. I was like, what? I was like, what the? Are you kidding me? She's a grown woman. I saw her taking ecstasy 2 nights ago at the bar.
Right.
I'm like, get me the hell out of here. I'm like, I'm done. I'm a grandma. These kids are,
Right.
I'm not. And then you also feel like this, oh, I have to protect these children.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I can't do it anymore. So that was also the big thing for me. I'm like,
Yeah. Hey makers, today's episode is sponsored in part by toolmomstore.com. At toolmomstore.com, you can find any and all tool-based merchandise for all genders, all sizes. They've got mugs, they've got shirts, all kinds of cool stuff. I have one of the shirts myself that has the hashtag woodworkher on it. And I also have a couple of the mugs that define what and who is a tool chick. So super excited with the merchandise that I have. I know that you will be satisfied as well. And also great discount for those of you who listen to the podcast. At checkout, if you enter the code MAKERMOM, you will get a 20% discount off any of the merchandise that you buy. So that's just toolmomstore.com. All right, let's head back into the action.
like,
Which
get
is,
the hell out of there.
which is weird to say at 28 that you're too old.
Right?
Like,
People,
I mean, that's just weird. That's a whole different world.
It's really weird, but there's definitely a small window if you're going to do that kind of stuff. That's for sure.
I mean, like, how old were you when you were on Top Model?
24.
Okay.
Yeah. We filmed that show at the end of 2005, and I just turned 25, and then it aired in 2006.
Okay.
And then I moved to LA in 2006. Then that winter, or was it the next winter? I can't remember. Maybe it was the next winter. I went and I traveled around, did modeling in a couple different countries. Then when I came back in 2008, then I auditioned for the TV stuff.
Okay.
Started doing that, yeah. So it was a really short little window of me doing that stuff in LA, and before I was like, yeah. And if I had a kid, I would never let them model.
Yeah.
No. Hell no. Now that I saw what children do, little children.
Right.
No.
What do you feel like draws you more, like making or like the acting TV stuff?
It's funny because when something stresses you out, sometimes you like it more. When there's a little more like, what's going to happen?
Right.
You like it more. That is the allure of TV, because when you audition for a show, you're like, I nailed that audition. I might get that. Ooh, am I going to get that? Ooh. Waiting for a text from my agent. Ooh, am I going to get this show? No, oh my gosh. It's very exciting. And so that is very fun. But I love working by myself. I love that I don't have to listen to a boss. I can just go down into my garage and start working on stuff and, take orders from people, or, whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it. It's great. And that is wonderful too, because it's definitely a more relaxing job. But I think they even each other out.
Yeah.
You know, I like both, but
Yeah.
I definitely, I mean, I don't think I could do TV forever. There's
Mhm.
always going to be someone younger and prettier or more, you know, more skilled than me. Or,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, there's a couple exceptions to the rule out there. I mean, Ty Pennington's still kicking ass and he's almost 60.
Right.
You know, he's still doing it. He's a good buddy of mine, good guy. And I'm like, I mean, if we could all be Ty Penningtons, that would be legit. But I think there's a short window for that
Yes.
too. But the great thing with carpentry is you can do it as long as your body will let you.
Right.
You could do it till you're in your 80s. You
Right.
can think how good you're gonna be when you're 80. So good. You're gonna be like teaching your grandkids how to do it and like
I
I
know.
love it. I love that. There's not really many careers out there where you can do that.
True. True. Do you, I mean, I guess I don't know what the world looks like, especially in the TV sphere. When obviously there, if people are calling you off of your big magnets, then they probably know who's showing up at their door. But
Sometimes.
do you get a, have you felt any of that, like where's your husband type of type of vibe?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like I'll be at the gas station and some guy will look over and like look at my truck. Oh, cool truck. I'll be like, thanks. Carpentry, huh? That's your husband's business? Oh, handy ma'am. And then I'll be get a couple jokes like, yes, yes, that's what I do. You know, give me a call anytime you need anything. I do a lot of gates here in town. I do fence work, whatever you guys need. You know, just give me a call. Oh, wow, that's great. Good for you, honey. I get a lot of that too. Oh,
It's so
like,
cute that you do that.
I know, right? I'm like, oh God, punch me in the face. It's yeah, I definitely get a lot of that. I get a lot of you know, well, okay. For me, I gotta walk into Home Depot. I better be wearing full head to toe Carhartt, work boots, pencil dangling from my little carabiner. I gotta have, you know, my wallet sticking out of my pocket and maybe a tape measure in my hand, or else everybody in there's gonna be like, "Hi, honey, is there something I can help you find today?" But not just that, it's gonna be like, "What are you working on?"
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
I'm not a I'm not a in the majority, right?
Right.
Females don't do this, but at the same time, we're growing. There's
Right.
more of us.
Right.
So don't act surprised. It's like there's a lot of us out there. It's
Mhm.
okay. And we can do things and we can do things really well.
Right.
It's okay. I'm
think
used
that's
to it by now.
yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna do a new reel. Um, maybe I'll do it today. And I'm gonna tag you in it so you can see it.
Okay.
It's about mansplaining.
Yes. Yeah, I
But
was like some of the female makers I follow, especially some of the like women of color that I follow, some of them lately have been like on fire with like coming back at the trolls as they're like
ooh.
trying to like mansplain on their post of them making something,
Oh, really?
like posted to their stories, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of like, there are two woodworkers in particular that are female that I follow that I mean, a lot of times they don't show their face, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
wouldn't know if
Right.
they were a girl or not.
Right.
And they're so talented. I just love that people try to come for them.
Mhm.
Like she could run circles around you, bro. Hold on, let me see if I can find the one. Who's it? Who is it? Crap, I can't remember. There's 513 Woodworks.
Yes, that's one I was thinking of. Is
Uh-huh. And then
yeah.
there's another one. I can't remember. It's not 6x8. It's something else. There's a
Is it? It's not 3x3 custom.
3x3 custom.
Yes, tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
So insanely talented. Like, holy crap. I'm like
Yes.
blown away by them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
tomorrow the like the jigs and the fixtures she comes up
Yeah.
with for all of her stuff. I'm just like, I just like, can you just send them to me when you're done with them, and then I'll just like add them to
I know. She's so wonderful.
she is.
But yeah, so.
Yeah, I used to get that. So for a really long time, I had my logo as my little like biopic, not like my face.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't always like showing myself. You'd see my hands, but you didn't see anything else.
Hmm.
And so I would just, not necessarily like mansplaining or anything, but I would get lots of comments of like, great work, dude, or awesome work, man. And like, then I'd be like, thanks. I'm a chick, but thanks. you know. Um, so yeah, which sometimes would actually change then the comment. Like they would be like, oh, didn't know, like, and then they'd point out a mistake or something. And I'm like, thanks. Like, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have done that if you still thought I was a dude. But
You know,
okay.
right? Oh well.
Oh well.
I know. It's like slowly, one by one, we will be changing the world. So
Yes. Absolutely that.
oh,
Um
and Katie, I should mention for your listeners that our birthdays might as well be on the same day.
they might as well be. They
Our
really should
mothers,
be.
our mothers were in labor at the exact same time.
Yes.
You
Yes.
just popped out before me. Probably just
Which
by a few hours. Who knows?
I know, but which I should say, to much to my mother, like feeling thank God, because my mom was in labor for 5 days with me.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
God.
So
Oh,
I used to, when I was little, there was quite a bit of time where like every birthday year she would give me like a tiny present on like, this day you were almost born, and this day you were
aw.
almost born.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I know my mom says that too. I was her first, and she's like, I was in labor with you for 2 days. I'm like, ooh,
I know.
I'm never gonna know what that's like.
You're like,
Uh,
I don't need to know what that's like. Thanks. But yes.
thanks. No, no,
Uh-huh.
I know.
Yes. Yes, this is true. How are you feeling now that you've hit the big you did, I was impressed with the celebration you gave yourself over that
Oh, for turning 40.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think we all kind of look at it differently. Some people, it's funny. I mean, some people I've met that are our age,
Yeah.
they act like they're 60. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, my life is over. I'm 40. I
Yeah.
have getting gray hairs. I might as well just be dead.
Right.
And I'm thinking, wow, really? Like, stop it.
Yes.
And then there's other people out there that will make you feel like, uh-oh, you're going to be 40.
Hmm.
You didn't do
Hmm.
this, or this yet. And that's what was happening to me. I was getting a little bit of that. Oh my gosh, I don't own a house. I don't have any kids. I still have school debt. What am I doing? Like
Hmm.
I don't have a job with a corporate IRA that they're matching, and I
Right,
have a
right.
retirement plan, and I should be 20 years into saving for a house by now. I was getting all that in my head, right? Because society
Yeah,
tells
yeah.
you all these things that you're supposed to have done by now. And I thought, gosh, I need to just like let that go. Cause you know what? You know what I can do at this age? I can still do
Right,
this.
right, right,
And I
right.
made a cool video kind of celebrating all of that sort of stuff. And I mean, the day has come and it's gone and I don't
Right,
feel any different.
right.
So I guess it's not a big deal. But honestly, I think you're as old as you feel, you're as old as you want to act
Yeah,
like.
absolutely.
And then that's funny because it kind of took me getting to 40 to realize that when you meet an 80-year-old person, they're just 40 years old and they're just in their
Yeah,
own brain. Like they're
yeah,
young.
yeah,
Their body might be failing them. They might look old in their face and everything else, but they're just like you in their
yeah,
brain.
yeah.
And I always used to treat old people differently, right? And I used to
Yep.
like think, oh gosh, she's just an old lady. But that's going to be me in 30 years, right?
Right.
And they're just little girls inside their heads. And
Yep.
it's weird. It's so weird getting older. And also, too, I've thought about it and I was grateful in the moment. I'm like, not many people have made it this long.
Hmm.
There's so many people that don't get to make it to 40.
Yep.
So I'm like grateful. that I can be 40 too. But yeah, I definitely get Botox. Only like twice a year, but I do fight the wrinkles. I'm not gonna lie.
You do fight the wrinkles, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like. I didn't,
But you look so young. Your face is such a baby face.
it's called just don't wear makeup ever. Go the Butch Dyke route, and you don't ever age. That's really what it's about.
Oh my gosh.
But we took like a week vacation to Lake Michigan, which we loved, just as a family to celebrate for mine. And that was like the first time in a long time I totally disconnected. I made the promise to my wife and kids. I said, I'm not going to post on Instagram or any other social media the entire time we're here. And I even hardly, like, I checked it a couple times, but I just didn't interact, and it was, I don't know, like, just that disconnecting from social media was like amazing for like
Mhm.
5 days. I was like, oh,
You come back and you're like, oh, how do I do this again?
yes, exactly. Exactly. And our good friend Shar turned 40 in November. So like there's a bunch of
Right.
us who like hit
Yes.
40 this year.
Yep.
In the maker community. So it's fun. And I think, especially when I talk to like younger makers on the podcast, like, I don't know, like, I feel like, okay, I get it. Like, I found out who I was in my 30s, and now, like, I can't wait for my 40s because it's like
Mhm.
I just did so much growing in that time period.
Yeah.
And even though I feel like I'm 25 in my head, so my age in my head is like 25 because I'm still like a complete goofball.
You too.
Yeah. uh, but you couldn't pay me to go back to being 25, like,
Same.
ever.
Oh my God. Same.
Yes. Yeah. Um, what are you looking forward to? I get to talk to you, and it's towards the end of 2021. So what are you looking forward to next year?
Well, I still got a lot of like work to do on myself. I think that's just going to be a never-ending battle for me.
I think it's for all of us, if that makes you
Yeah.
feel any better.
But really, truly, I mean, I don't know if anybody's listening to this and you feel like I feel what I'm about to say, like reach out to Katie or I, because I feel like sometimes I don't know what the F I'm doing. What the heck am I doing? Not only that, but like sometimes I get so down on myself, I can barely get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and then I start second guessing, like, did I make the right choices? Am I doing the right career? Is what I'm doing really valuable to others?
Mm-hmm.
And I get sad sometimes. So I feel like that is a constant thing with me. And I might also kind of act out and drink a whole bottle of wine, which doesn't sound like a terrible idea sometimes. But if you do it more than 3 times a week, I think you got a problem. And I've been on that side of things too. So I need to really like search out, like ask for help when I need it, reach out, try to reach out to someone strong, and maybe go to a couple AA meetings. Honestly, I
Well,
feel like
you know what, Ms. Jody, shortly after we were at Make 48 together, I stopped drinking.
wow.
And it's still sometimes daily,
Mm,
multiple times a day. It is still very much a like, God damn, I want to drink.
yeah.
Um,
Dang, good for you.
but so
Hard.
if you do ever want to chat, I'm like here for it, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I really, 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 really realized that nothing good has ever come when I was really intoxicated.
Yeah.
So let's
Oh,
be healthier
totally.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be healthy. And I've noticed too, like just recently, like my knee hurts, and how many things are connected to your knee. You need to take care
Mhm.
of your feet. You need to take care of your ankle joints. You got to strengthen your hamstrings. You got to do all these things to make your knee strong.
Mhm.
And then if you're just sitting on your butt and drinking entire 12 pack of Topo Chico seltzers, That's not helping anything, especially your liver.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I was going. I'm like, I'm hurting myself. And if I want to make it to 70 and still be able to stand at my tool shed table or
Mhm.
whatever and build things and pick up half
Right.
sheets of plywood, I need to be better to my body.
Hmm.
So 2022, I need to chill. I need to like take care of myself. But I told my husband, I was like, I just don't care about exercising and I need to care and I want to care. And the hardest thing for me is like taking a step out the door in a tennis shoe. Like, I'm like, no, I don't want to go do it. I was like, I'm not lying, Katie. I looked up hypnotists.
To try to get to.
Yeah. I thought if hypnotism works, I want to be hypnotized into wanting to work out.
Yeah.
Even going, like, even just doing yoga, something.
Right.
I need to be better to my body. So 2022, better for my body, reaching out to friends, not being a hermit, working hard. Um, yeah, and maybe trying to pay off that little last bit of school loan. Small, small
Small.
victories.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Too crazy. That's
About you?
Oh, I've got like on my list is just like projects, things that I want to make, that have been on my list for a while. And then actually I'm in the process right now of applying for grad school,
Whoa.
to go get my master's in hopefully 3D design and art. So
Amazing.
yeah, I'm absolutely terrified about that. And I'm like 99% convinced they're just going to look at my shit and go, nope. But like, I'm
No.
applying anyway. So
Yeah.
that's kind of that's where I'll call that my mini midlife crisis of like, what am I going to do? Kind of like you, instead of because I have a day job stuff that's not related to making or anything like that at
Oh,
all. And I think COVID and um, just being on lockdown and like looking at the state of our country and stuff, I'm like,
yeah.
I can't keep doing what I'm doing. Like I just can't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those like, well, what am I gonna do? you know, type conversations. And
Yep.
and I knew I wanted something drastically different. So
Mhm.
that's the route it's taking me so far.
Dang, that's awesome. Wow. Is it a local place, a local school?
Yeah, so the University of Iowa is in the same is where I live.
Oh.
And so that would be the hope, that I can get into their program since it's local.
Hmm.
Um, but otherwise, maybe potentially if there is an online option,
Yeah.
because it's like there's great programs out there, and I know that, but it does get more difficult to like uproot an entire family.
Yeah.
And my wife has a career, and um, she's she's older than I am, and she's not that far from retirement, and so I would not want to yank her out of like what she's been worked her whole life
Sure.
for, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang. Wow, that's a
Mhm.
lot. You have to keep us posted on that.
I will.
Oh.
Absolutely. Are we going to see you at WorkbenchCon this in February?
Yes, ma'am. I will
Woohoo!
be there. I will be there. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I don't know. I mean, if you've never been to WorkbenchCon, it's like in your maker in any sense, it's awesome because
Mhm.
you get to like meet so many people and all this stuff. But 2 years ago, I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
A lot of their classes I go in like with high hopes and I'm like, this is just somebody humble bragging
Mhm.
about their lives.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not learning anything.
Right.
The one class I did have a lot of fun with that is his handle is Once Upon a Workbench.
Yes, I was in that class too.
Yeah.
He did
Super
awesome.
cool. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really fun and just such a fun idea about getting people to follow things on through
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
stories and click on things. I thought, oh, that was so cool. And I did a bunch of other classes too, but it was more about the meeting people.
Yeah.
I had a good time doing that. But if they don't make it really worth the money, I don't know how many more times I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
So the 2 years ago, I did carving and I did the parent
Oh,
panel. Um,
okay.
And then this February, I'll be on a panel with Shar, and I'll be doing a carving demo.
Nice.
I think I'll be doing a live episode of the podcast too. So, yeah, last year was the first, or 2 years ago was the first time of like getting paid
Oh, that's nice.
to work. Um, Not by the conference. I got my ticket, but
Oh, okay.
I had to get like brand sponsorship and stuff. But
Oh,
this
okay.
will be the first time of like, yeah, getting paid by the conference and
That's
all that
really
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
couldn't
really awesome.
to be honest, I couldn't afford it unless I was getting paid to be there.
Hmm.
And I think this will be at least the last one I go to for a little while because I want to go to Maker Camp. So that I want to
Yeah,
go to next fall is Maker Camp as well.
that was awesome.
Yeah, that's right. You were there. I forgot about
Mhm.
that.
That was so much fun. And I mean, when are you ever going to get a chance to do forging?
Yeah.
Just grab a piece of metal and start whacking on it and melt it down and bend it. And I would never, ever, ever even know where to go for that.
Yeah.
So just to be able to do that, just to jump in and go take a class, I did pewter, like pouring molten
Yeah.
pewter into all those. Oh, it was so much fun. And making jewelry, sewing, epoxy, and then again, like just everybody was so much fun there.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole campground was just like redneck Riviera. It was so much fun.
And you didn't stay at the campgrounds though, right? You got a place.
So I got an Airbnb just down the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my go-to.
Yeah.
I don't like
Same here.
staying at the venues of any event. I'd rather stay off campus and come in because I know I'm going to get exactly what I want.
Yeah.
I can pick the type of house I want, the room, whatever
Right.
accommodations that I want. Because sometimes these hotels and maker camp people will tell you they're junk.
Yeah.
Or like they're not good quality, or they have a bad bed bug rating, or
Right.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, no, I'm just going to stay off campus. And it worked out great because that was sponsored for me from Total Boat. And then it was such a big house. I was able to accommodate 3 other people
Mm-hmm.
to stay there with me. And it worked out really nice. It was
Yeah.
really great.
Okay, well, let's keep chatting for next year because I would down on an Airbnb with you.
Yeah. And it was so cheap. It was only like $127 a night.
That is cheap.
So cheap. I was like, this is amazing. Are you sure? And then it never asked for a penny more. So I'm like, okay.
I thought about that route for Workbench. The problem is like because it's in Atlanta, it's like you end up being so far away and from the venue. And since like 2 years ago and this time like I get my room. So
yeah, that's nice.
It's kind of like that. I do appreciate that because it's like, okay, yeah. I'm old in that sense. Like 10:30, my ass is tired. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. And you have to be there for classes, right? Yeah. You're to like show stuff. Yeah, it's probably better that you're there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'll probably be driving it again this year. Okay. Which is, it's a long ass drive. It's a 12-hour drive for me, but when it's because of the power carving bit of it, I'm like, I just don't want to check that much equipment or ship that much equipment and have it the potential of it not showing up or being damaged or whatever, right?
Yeah, because you got all that stuff. It's like you kind of have to do that.
I know, because I'll be basically bringing the same setup that I brought to make 48 for my demo. So it's like, like that jaw horse thing I had. That was thing. I mean, that thing is
pricey. Heavy.
Yeah. Heavy duty.
Yeah. Those are awesome. I have one of those things and yeah, I can barely pick it up sometimes. So I can only imagine. Could you imagine checking that? Yes, that'll be over $600.
Exactly.
And then it comes through baggage claim and it's all banged legs
pieces and like, yeah. I think I would cry. In fact, I know I would cry.
No way. Well, I'm excited. That'll be fun. I'll be great. It'll be great to see you. Yes. And we'll definitely have to do something. I know they always provide food and stuff, but I like to go out and get my own food.
We'll go out and get food. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Usually I'm always like late to the food part anyway. So there's like nothing ever left by the time that I get there.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And actually, right by the venue, there is a bowling alley / restaurant,
Ooh.
and we could go there, and
Yeah.
maybe we can go karaoke. I don't
Ooh.
know. We'll figure something
I
out. We'll
think
find
they are going to
something
have
fun
a
to do.
DJ night this time. Yes.
Like
So-
dancing.
Yes, because I had like Alicia of Pneumatic Attic and stuff like that. She was like, I so need to go someplace with you where there's a DJ and just like get down. And I was like, I think there's supposed to be one at WorkbenchCon this year.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't forget if your stickers. I forgot
Yes.
stickers last time, so
I know. I was just thinking, I'm like, I better actually get more ordered so I have them in time for February.
yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah. I think I'm gonna make some new ones too. Mine just right now have a symbol and no one knows what that is, so I need to make like the words on it.
Well, now that you've been on, especially since you've been on the podcast, you will get a Crafting the Revolution sticker. You know, you've been on the podcast.
I'll add it to the wall.
Yes. All right. Well, Miss Joanie, we're at the like end of our chat time together. So I want to give you a chance to let everyone know where to find you at. I know we talked about Instagram, but how can they find you on Instagram?
There's only one place to find me, guys. That's on Instagram. Just at Joanie Sprague. Joanie as like Joanie loves Chachi. Sprague as in
You know,
Sprague.
there's a chance that like a third of my audience is not gonna get that reference.
Oh no, are we aging ourselves again?
Yes.
JoaniSprague. Joanie Sprague.
Do you ever ask your parents why is it Sprague and not Sprague?
I know, right? It's funny. I've done like the genealogy thing, and it goes back, and I've never spelled it any differently. So don't know.
Is it
You can call me
Polish?
whatever you want. It's Irish.
Irish. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, isn't Pittsburgh's like a lot of Polish, isn't it? Isn't that where
This
like
is my husband's last name?
Oh.
Yeah, I've adopted his last name. I took his name. My maiden name is Dodds, which is English. And I'm also Finnish and German. So I'm all the white things. I'm actually so white, I'm blue. Look.
Let's have a contest the next time we see each other. I'm pretty sure I will beat you in that.
Yeah, so.
Well, because I thought like pierogies and stuff, isn't that Polish?
Pittsburgh. Yes, so Pittsburgh is probably like one of the greater melting pots of the country. So we've got tons of Polish, Hungarian, Italian, all Eastern Bloc type folks, German, and just so many. What's the other one? Oh gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But there's big sects of like Eastern Bloc good food places there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my first serious girlfriend was from Pittsburgh, grew up there. And so that's how I got really into the Steelers and got introduced to pierogies for the first time ever. And I was like, this is like food from the gods. Like, how have I not known about this food my entire life?
Mm-hmm. They're delicious.
Yes.
Now I'm hungry.
There you go. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for chatting today, Joanie.
This was so much fun, Katie.
All right, so again, that was Joanie, and I will include the links on how you can check her out and follow along with her in the show notes for today's episode. Where you can find those is first check the description for the episode in your podcast app. If you're watching this on YouTube, check the description box down below. And lastly, you can head on over to freemanfurnishings.com/podcast and find today's episode as well as all the previous episodes there with the show notes and the links to follow all these fabulous people. While you are checking out the show notes, make sure to follow along with the podcast over on Instagram at Crafting a Revolution. And while there, you can come on over and say hi to me at Freeman Furnishings, because when I am not talking to fabulous people and making podcast episodes. You can find me designing and making furniture and other home decor at freemanfurnishings.com and at Freeman Furnishings across all social media platforms. Though, to be real, I'm probably most active on Instagram and second most active on TikTok. So at Freeman Furnishings on both of those, come on over and say hi. Thanks for joining me for the first two new episodes for the start of the year 2022. I can tell you that 2022 is probably going to bring some changes to the podcast. None of them bad. Podcast isn't going anywhere, just some changes. One may be dropping a few episodes, dropping a couple of the episodes off a month. So instead of doing 2 a week, it might be 3 every 2 weeks, something like that. So look for that to come, as well as some shorts of conversations between Katie and myself. Those are some of the things we're talking about. So just so you know, there are some changes coming. We're not going anywhere. We're going to still keep talking to amazing makers, but the format may change just a slight little tiny bit. All right. So with that, please have a fantastic weekend. And as always, let's go craft a revolution. She, her, they got something they want to say.